Welcome to the Verdict Sports Show and the G Sports Show, joined by my guy G Sports, going live on G Sports channel, on the Verdict YouTube, on our Facebook. Hey, we getting it going, G. We stepping up. We leveling up each and every day. Happy New Year to everybody. Appreciate you hopping on, G. How you doing? How you feeling? Tell me all about it.
Doing pretty good, man. Ready to take this next step and keep elevating in 2025. Hope everybody had a happy new year. I did a lot of soul searching when I prayed before the clock hit 12. And I'm hoping God answer my prayers and keep putting me, closer to him and keep elevating me and my family, man.
Good, G. Only way is up. I wanted to open up real quick before we get into our recap and to our predictions and all. Just obviously thoughts and prayers to everyone that was affected by the tragedy in New Orleans yesterday. There's going to be a lot of fallout. I mean, maybe even the Sugar Bowl getting postponed, but I mean, it's just a horrible event. And I just wanted to start off by giving our condolences to everybody and just letting everybody know we're keeping you in our heart, in our thoughts, in our prayers. And I mean, unfortunate event. But I think this could potentially bring everybody together, man. Sports community, we're going to stick together. And I think, you're going to be able to grow from something like this, hopefully. It's unfortunate, and I hope a positive can come from it. But, man, it's heart-wrenching stuff.
It's a tough deal, man. Tough deal. When I got the news this morning, man, I was, all I was thinking about is the families and it's the holiday time and you just had Christmas and to get that phone call to know that a loved one or a family member has passed. um I can't even imagine what their families are going through right now. So man, condolences to them, man. I'm praying for them for sure.
Of course. And let's get into this LSU and Baylor recap. And I feel like, yesterday was a bowl game where everybody wanted to know, where's LSU headed in 2025? How can the team kind of, keep growing, keep taking steps to inevitably get into that college football playoff that's kind of been evading them a little bit. It's kind of been a little tough to get into the mix. Obviously, it opens up to a 12-man format. You got a lot more room, you got a lot more space. Here is my takeaways from yesterday. Nussmeier in the wide receiver room, first off, look fantastic. Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Zay Thomas. How about Trudez? He ain't even a tight end no more. Gee, I'm sorry. That's Mr. Calvin Johnson. He's looking insane. Then don't forget, you're adding Nick Anderson. You're adding Berrien. You got a lot of pieces on the bench still. Kylan Billiard, Jelani Watkins, Javen Nicholas. You got a lot of depth, a lot of just talent, a lot of people that are eye turners. Here's a statistic that I want to talk about real quick. The running game. Caden Durham obviously broke out onto the scene. Caden Durham was one of your biggest bright spots, and I think he's going to be a piece that you're going to build off of next season. 0 fumbles, G. Didn't turn over the rock one time all year. That's probably one of the biggest takeaways Coach Frank Wilson and OCD are going to go into the offseason with. We know you're the lead back. We know you're the guy. We know you're secure. And I think, we're talking about wide receivers, the passing game. That run game is going to keep elevating. It's going to keep growing and getting into a spot where that offensive line can gel and get a little bit more comfortable and everyone can find their sure spot. I'm excited to see what happens. Now, let's move to the defensive side. Obviously, prayers for Weeks. That was very unfortunate, and there's some positive news coming up. It's maybe a dislocated ankle. You're hearing all the little murmurs, but the word on the street is he could potentially be back within 2 to 3 months. That could have him back toward the spring, toward the summer, potentially if the recovery is willing. That's big because I know everybody was worried about the potential fallout and the potential time off that Witt would have, and it's really one of your biggest pieces. Obviously, Harold Perkins is coming back, but I mean, everybody knows the defense is that much better when all your players are healthy. We don't want to continually have to have that next man up mentality. It's great to have it, but I mean, man, you want to be able to have your guys out there 100% healthy. So it's good news that that's shaken up. The safety side of it, you expected this, right? I mean, these guys, you got Deshaun Spears, he's a younger guy. Toviano's in a position swap. It's gonna be a growing period, right? They're gonna have some ups, they're gonna have some downs, ebbs and flows. That's football. Can't say you didn't expect it. And obviously, I think this is just pointing toward what the focus is going to be in the transfer portal going forward. And I mean, you've been hearing what we've been saying. There's a lot of time left. There's a lot of teams left too to be eliminated and to have an opportunity to even enter the portal for these guys. If you can get this, the culture's there. I think what you saw yesterday showed that a team was ready to play. A team was focused. A team was locked in. As meaningless as the Texas Bowl might be to some people, they came together and showed we're ready to take the next step and be a championship caliber team. So I was really impressed with what I saw. G, what were your takeaways and how are you feeling about LSU for next year?
One of the biggest, I ain't gonna say one of the biggest, one of my takeaways that uh, I was very excited about is Trey Green. Uh, to see him have add that confidence and see some success. You know, the 2 touchdown passes, one of them in the back of the end zone when he high pointed it. It's just to show you what's to come in the future. And I think Trey Dez, one of the commentators said, he said, man, we know this kid's gonna be a high draft pick one day. All right. It's all about getting him to understand all of the nuances and the small details of playing the tight end position, right? Because he's so damn versatile, man. You could split him out, you could put him on the line, you could motion him, you could go trips right and put him on the backside by itself. They're gonna be able to do a lot of different dynamic things with him next season, man, and especially when they get in the red zone. I anticipate Trey Green probably leading the team in touchdowns next year.
And
Uh,
I see it too.
yeah, I mean 6'7" can move like that. You put somebody small on him, he's gonna be too big and strong. You put somebody just as big on him, he's gonna be too quick and nimble. So I think that was one of the biggest takeaways. I think he's gonna have an opportunity next year, man, to be one of the best tight ends in the country. I think he has that kind of talent. I'm hoping that he can handle success and going to the off season, working his ass off, man, and putting the necessary work in to take that next step mentally, right? Because we know he got the physical tools, but it's all about having that high football IQ on the football field, and I think that'll take his game to another level. The next thing is, man, I wanted to see how that old line was gonna hold up with Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Dellinger not playing. I thought they did pretty good for the most part. Tyree Adams, man, the left tackle. I know he played some guard this year, showing that versatility, right? That he can play guard and then go play on the blind side and protect his quarterback. I thought he did a phenomenal job yesterday. I know that added a lot of confidence to him and to Brad Davis to be able to go into this spring and this offseason saying that, look, we got some with Tyree Adams, redshirt freshman. We could put him at guard or left tackle. We're going to see. I think that's going to be a battle during the spring and in fall camp. I anticipate Tyree Adams being one of the starters next year. Unless something happens. I know they trying to pick another O lineman up in the portal, but I like Tyree Adams, man. Very, very athletic. Been covering him since he was at St. Augustine High School. Has a basketball background. Has great feet, and he's a good person too. So I was big on watching Tyree Adams yesterday. Bo Bordelon did a good job. Um, he showed some flashes yesterday. I saw one time he pancaked somebody to the ground. Uh, we know about DJ Cheston because he's been starting all year. Mabenga, he started a couple games this year because Dellinger was hurt. You saw him, have a solid game. And they moved Frazier to the right tackle. I thought he did a good job, going out as a last game as a Tiger. Running the ball, they average over 4 yards a carry. I don't know if it's something to be excited about when you're going against a team like Baylor, but you'll take it. You'll take it. Caleb Jackson had the 3 carries for 3 yards. I wanted to see him get some more touches in the game, but I think if you listen to Brian Kelly in the press conference, he wanted to make sure Josh Williams went out the right way.
100%.
They were gonna make sure Caden Durham was the lead back, but they wanted to make sure Josh Williams went out the right way. And when he scored that touchdown up the middle, breaking 2 tackles, I thought that was so fitting for him, man. In his hometown too, in Houston. Program guy, man. Program guy. I really hope that Josh Williams gets an opportunity in the NFL. And even if he doesn't, this guy's going to be successful somewhere in life. I've been around him. You've been around him. The coaches rave about his character and the kind of person he is and the team player he is. I know I would love to see him get into coaching or something because I think he'll do a great, great job, man. Defensively, giving up over 500 yards total offense to a team that, they didn't have too many weapons. I forgot the kid number 34, the receiver for Baylor. Yeah, he had over 100 yards receiving yesterday. He been leading them all year. But anyway, he did a hell of a job yesterday. I mean, he was a matchup nightmare. Ashton Stamps had some good moments. But overall, as a secondary, they struggled. I know Toviano was playing safety for the first time for LSU. You saw Deshaun Spears back there. You saw Jordan Gilbert have some moments back there, but I thought they struggled as a secondary. They got really confused on a number of occasions. When you saw Baylor come out in certain formations, you could just tell there was a lot of confusion going on. And look, like Coach Kelly said, they playing a lot. They played like 6 or 7 freshmen on the defensive side of the ball. So I get it. I understand it. But that's something people are going to be paying attention to a lot next season. Is everybody on the same page? Is the communication there? Can we line up the right way? And I think that was a big problem with the defense in some games, especially the Bama game, not lining up correctly. And that's something we cannot see next year. But with the people they got that coming in this portal, they got some really, really good players. And some guys that has a lot of experience in the secondary and in the trenches. So, and I talked about it all year, man. A lot of this wasn't on Blake Baker. They needed to get better players on that side of the ball. And they went and did that in the portal. So there's no excuses next year for Blake Baker. You got 3 edge rushers coming in, right? You got 3 corners that's coming in that probably gonna get drafted in the top 4 rounds when they come out. So you got some guys coming in. I think the big question mark gonna be who gonna play that Mike linebacker. I know they put Wes Weeks in there yesterday. He struggled a little bit. I know they hoping that it could be Wes Weeks, Whit Weeks, and Perk. Well, they're gonna have to figure that part out going into the spring, because one thing about that Mike linebacker, as we all know, that's the quarterback of the defense. That's the person that get everybody lined up. And so they got to make sure that Wes Weeks is the answer. And if he's not, they got to figure that part out in the portal.
I agree, and I think the good part about Wes Weeks is how long he's been in college football, how much experience he could potentially have. But like you were saying, if it's not him, then you're definitely scratching your head. You might have to be a little more transitional, because you're going to have to put your Will or Sam in that spot, just simply because other guys like a Devon Keys, I don't think he's played enough to trust him in that spot. It would be a little bit of a weak area, even though he had a great game. I think Devon Keys is going to be a huge player for Blake.
I think he's no disrespect to Keys. I think he's solid, but I think at this point in his career, he's just a rotational guy. Yeah. He's not somebody you can go out and depend on every Saturday in the SEC.
And he could definitely have a breakout year, but as of right now, putting him with that call to player headset, putting him in that role, all that pressure after one good season, it might be premature for sure. And you're going to put yourself in a situation where you've got someone you could pick on. When offensive coordinators finding that weak spot and just constantly dishing it. Because look, Baylor yesterday, although the safeties, kind of got torched and kind of got put in a little bit of a rough spot, Baylor, I think, overthrew 2 or 3 long shots that they really could have reeled in. This game could have got a lot more interesting. The punt return for a touchdown got called back. I mean, look, you had an interception. You had a fumble from Aaron Anderson. You had a couple of things that made your heart sink toward that end. 75 total points. I didn't expect that. I'll say that. I didn't expect.
So let's address the elephant in the room, and that's Garrett Nussmeier. Okay. I thought Garrett Nussmeier had a really good game. Threw for over 300-some yards. I think he had over a 60% completion rate.
Yep.
At one point, I think he was like 11 for 12 in the first half. But just being in all honesty, I had a problem with the interception that he threw. He threw it naked. All right, and that's something that he's gonna have to really, really work on in his offseason, man, because those type of plays can turn the game. And when he threw that pick, I thought that could have been a turning point in why Baylor came back and won this game, or at least brought it to overtime. I think what Nuss is going to have to really focus on this offseason is his pre-snap reads. Not having your mind made up where you're going with the ball at the snap. I think if he can get that under control, Nuss could probably be a Heisman Trophy candidate. It's the decision making before the snap. He's already saying it. So I'm throwing out route. Well, as you see the edge rusher, he's showing blitz, and then he bags out of it and goes underneath and then picks it off. And that's the same thing happened in the South Carolina game, right? He had his mind made up. He was going to counter release on the backside. They're showing edge pressure at the snap. He backs out of it. He throws it naked. It's picked off. It's ran all the way back, right? They could have lost that game if they didn't call the unsportsmanlike for blindside Nussmeier. And so, that got to be something. I don't know if Joe Sloan's going to be the offensive coordinator or what's going to happen in the coming weeks, if his job is on the line or what, I don't know. But whoever's the offensive coordinator, if it is Joe Sloan, that has to be a point of emphasis this offseason. You have to identify pre-snap what's going on. You can't just have your mind made up where you're going with the ball, Nuss, because I think that will eliminate half of his interceptions this season. If he can do that, Nuss could be a damn good player. We could see something similar to what Joe Burrow did in his second year, or
Yep.
what Jaden Daniels did in his second year.
Yeah, and the second year part too, like the more comfort, the more experience, the more you get to gel into the scheme, I think we'll really see him kind of relax and not have to force anything, not have to be in his head and think about it. And I want to also point this out too, because I had a conversation at the grocery store with somebody, and there's a couple of things that stuck out to me with Nussmeier. First, we do have to keep in mind this is the first year where they called a player headset. Brian Kelly did say at the midpoint of the year, look, we're bogging him down with too much information. We've got to have one voice. He's got to have one person to listen to, and we got to stop confusing him because any quarterback would have trouble with it, especially a first-year quarterback. And then to build off your point about seeing something special and a Heisman candidate, I'm 100% on a damn bus. The Nuss bus, I'm going to be the driver. Give me the captain's hat because he had 4,000 passing yards this season, and Jaden and Joe had 3,000. And that's not me saying, oh, well, he's automatically going to be better. But he's showing flashes, and he's showing flashes early. In fact, we're talking about Trades Green. We're talking about all these different pieces, like Caden Durham. I feel like they're surrounding Nuss with enough where they're like, all right, it's kind of like buying a suit for the first time.
You're
You know
gonna
what
have
I
a
mean?
lot of talent around
I'm a
him.
little like, you're a little baggy in the elbows, on the knees. You got to go get it tailored. You got to go get it trimmed up. And I think this offseason, they got to get that suit tailored for Nussmeier. They got to get that offense a little bit more toward his liking, toward his specifications. Everybody wants to see him be mobile and run and do all this stuff. But sometimes, look, if you 100% lock down on your strengths, the ability to throw the ball down the field, the ability to probably have, I think, one of the better football IQs on the field. Like, even though the decision making at time was rough, I think let's put him in the VR headset. Let's put him in that Jaden Daniels offseason grind mode. And I'm really excited at what we see because, I mean, you got a kid coming from a football background. I think he's surrounded by one of the best support systems I've seen in college. And like we were saying with Trades, handling that success, handling all this offseason stuff off the field is almost equally as important to what you do on the field. You know what I mean? You got to have everybody around you rooting for you, making sure you're doing the right things, making sure you're getting better. And to your point with Joe Sloan, if he's going to be rolling in and calling plays more, it's going to make me a little more confident even because now you've got more time with him. I'd be worried if a play caller changed because now Nussmeier's still learning a new scheme, and it might not change that much. But the fact that you could have that continuity going forward with the weapons we have, with what we've seen during the bowl game, I feel like the sky is the limit. I feel like this year you really saw one of the top three quarterbacks in the SEC in Garrett Nussmeier, and it says a lot because there was a lot of things you could attribute to, the struggles. Chris Hilton wasn't playing much. Obviously, the offensive line kind of had their issues here and there. Pass blocking was good, but then Garrett Dellinger goes down. Then you got to kind of get tricky with the plug and plays. I think one area was even on the blind spot towards the Florida game with Paul Mubenga coming in on that left guard side. But either way, I'm very impressed with Nussmeier, and I feel like if you just lock in and, not necessarily even follow the path, but just trailblaze your own path. I think you can really turn a lot of heads and be one of the first quarterbacks or first players taken off the board next year. I think this is LSU's opportunity to lock down and show everybody your developmental you. I mean, yeah, the brand's there, yeah, the eyes are there, but what better recruiting, platform to have than yeah, we got 3 Heismans in a decade, all at the quarterback position, all of them headed to the NFL, all of them, quite frankly, I'm not saying they were passed on, but at the end of the day, look at Joe Burrow had to transfer. Jaden Daniels had to transfer. Nuss sat, what, 2, 3 years? He was waiting, biding his time. I feel like this could be one of the bigger turning points for LSU going forward. If you want to see them compete at the top of this NIL market, Garrett Nussmeier's success will be a huge contribution to it. And then not to mention, I'm excited also to just see how this entire team's going to respond to what happened this year because I don't know if you feel this, G, but I feel like they're just getting tired of the disrespect, tired of the slack or the flack. You can only take it for so long before that chip on your shoulder just grows to a point where you're ready to just bash through a wall with it. Hopefully this is the year. Got a lot of football left to watch, a lot of spring left to watch. Transfer portal still open a little bit, and I think you got some pieces that you're going to have to add. But I'm excited to see what Nussmeier can do. I got faith in him because I mean, it's just hard to look at the last few quarterbacks and not give them a shot. I'm like, you know what? I see the potential. I see the ceiling. Like I said, I'm driving a damn nuts bus, bro.
And sometimes as fans, we prisoners of the moment. You understand? We prisoners of the moment sometimes. And I remember when Joe Burrow was at LSU that first year. People was talking about why did we bring this guy from Ohio State? I remember Jaden Daniels' first shift. Everybody was saying, like, why is he starting? Putting Nussmeier in. That's what everybody was saying. And if we being honest, Nussmeier first year starting versus Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels first year starting is better. Now, the decision making, that's what that's what a lot of people talk about when it comes to Nussmeier. Before as production and some of the type of plays he made this year, I thought he had a better first year starting than Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. Now, having said all of that, does that mean he's going to be just as good or better than Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels? I don't know about that, but I do think he's going to have a really good year into that second year. Experience is the best teacher. We talk about it all the time. And I think the key to it is, are they going to keep Joe Sloan as the OC? I think that's the whole key to this whole all season
Yeah.
and into next year. And I think that's what Brian Kelly is probably thinking about and pondering in his mind. Well, if I make a change at the offensive coordinator position, and now they got to come in and teach a whole new scheme, terminology, and all these different things and nuances to the offense, could that set us back a year? You got to consider all that.
Right.
You got to consider all that. And I think if it was me, I probably would keep Joe Sloan, but I would definitely make some changes in the run game. We got to come up with some different packages and creative ways to run this ball. We can't just run inside zone every time we're ready to run the ball.
Like Les Miles.
Yeah, and or run zone read as if Nuss is a threat to run the ball because he's never kept it on a zone read. So we just got to get a little more creative running the ball. And if they do that, I think the passing is going to take care of itself. I mean, I would be surprised if Nuss don't throw for 3,800 to 4,000 yards next year and 30 plus tutties, right? Especially with this receiving core, and you add Trey Green to the mix as the guy at the tight end room. There's no reason in the world why that shouldn't happen. And I'm gonna tell you something else. I would hope that Brian Kelly and the rest of that staff comes into some type of agreement that Michael Van Buren is going to have some packages next year. I really hope that's it. That is in the game plan when they're scripting for next season. Let's have about 5 to 7 plays where Michael Van Buren gets on the field just to get a defense a different look and just to give him some experience because we know Nuss next year is going to be his last year. And I think Michael Van Buren brings a different dynamic and a different element to the offense. And I think that keeps defensive coordinators off balance when you got to prepare for a quarterback like Michael Van Buren. And you go back to the Texas A&M game.
True.
They preparing for Connor Wegman, right? He comes out, they put Marcel Reed in, different type of quarterback. What happened? Changed the whole game. And I think they need to implement something like that next season with Michael Van Buren. If it's 5 to 7 plays, if it's 8 to 10 plays, he needs to have at least a couple packages where he's on the field next year to keep defenses off balance and just to bring a different dynamic to that offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you too. You've seen Texas do it with Arch Manning and Quinn Irons, and obviously Quinn, had some banged up ankle issues, so the mobility was a little bit of a worry. But look, that's the exact same situation here, right? People are confused and wondering how are they going to be able to kind of simulate or replicate what Jaden Daniels was able to do. Maybe it is with a creative packaging like that, and then also I want to build off of that run game success, right? I think if the run grows and you can actually have people worried about Caden breaking off for 100+ yards every game, now you got ample opportunity to pass. Now the play action's open. Now the defense is a little more on edge. You're like, oh shit, I gotta stack this box a little bit. I can't have everybody in the backfield. I can't have everybody trying to play in coverage. I gotta try to cover all my bases now. The more tricky you get, the more I don't know if I want to use the word balanced, but let's use the word unpredictable. If you get unpredictable, you're going to make some teams sweat. You're going to make some teams play out of character, and that in turn leads to mistakes. So I feel like Frank Wilson, Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, if they get in the lab and they cook something up special, could see a nice little group of fireworks, and we ain't talking New Year's Eve. I'm excited though because I don't know how you're feeling about this, but I feel if the safety core comes in and kind of gets, a little bit tighter, I don't know exactly how you're going to be able to do it. Maybe you add a veteran player that's been in this situation before. Maybe you put Toviano and Spears in a lot more, testy situations through spring and through fall to try to get them ready. But I think honestly, the defense could be more impressive than the offense. That's my hot take for today. I know the offense.
Ooh,
I
I
know.
don't know about that one.
Listen, this let me explain it because everybody's anticipating fireworks. We just watched them drop 40. Me and you heard Joe Sloan talk about the expectation. The expectation is LSU's offense is right here, and the defense for the last few years has been disrespected, underrated. And I feel like if you return guys like Witt, like Perk, like Jacobian, and then Manzour Delane, I think will be a great piece to this puzzle. You could see some fireworks. Corey Raymond already kind of showed us, hey, we can make something work in 1 year. Blake Baker showed us, Coach Peoples showed us, hell, Bo Davis even showed us some nice flashes. I'm wondering what happens with 2 years, what happens with the transfer portal situation going on, because we witnessed it, right? Bryce Underwood goes to your beloved Michigan, who shout out, beat Alabama. So hey, there's some love. There's some love there. It made everybody accountable. Everybody
Don't
got
play.
everybody said, "Oh wait, we gotta pay, we gotta donate, we gotta help build this team." And now that they got this, now that they got the ammo, the revenue, whatever you want to call it, they're locking and loading and getting the Jimmys and Joes, and that's what we needed. Like you said earlier, I feel like I know I could be hung out to dry here on this clip, but I'm gonna go out on this island. I think the defense next year could be one of your brightest spots and could be the side of the ball that everybody looks back on and says, you know what? That's why we're here in this college football playoff. That's how I feel, G.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know the defense is gonna look better next year than it did this year because they're gonna have better players. I don't give a damn who's the DC. It could be Bill Belichick. It could be whoever. If you don't have good players, your defense gonna look like ass.
It's going to be
And
tough.
from what he had at his disposal this year, I thought he did a good job. Now, the Alabama game is the only game I just questioned, and the A&M game. That's the two games I only questioned, like what was going on, far as lining up the right way, and secondly against A&M, like how we didn't prepare for Marcel Reed. Like that was the only two things I kind of questioned about Blake this past season. But other than that, I thought Blake did a great job for what he had personnel wise because his personnel wasn't the best. And we got to be honest about that. LSU fans has to be real about this. This ain't the typical players that you used to seeing on LSU defense in years past. Blake did a good job for what he had.
Yep.
Point blank period.
With Texas A&M too, it's a little interesting also because like I could see it if it's a starter like Georgia with Carson Beck or Bama with Jalen Milroe, like that's their primary guy. Weekman had already gotten sat that year. There was
Well, he
already
got hurt.
tweaks. Oh, right.
Yeah,
He was
got hurt,
already in the
and
bench, and Marcel had already came in. So the fact that you had tape, it just, what's one little package? Well, and then on top of it, though, G, I don't think it was even that. Like, I don't even think they needed to look at Marcel's film. How about the fact that you're playing Jackson Dart? It's a mobile quarterback. Lenore Sellers at times was very mobile before he got hurt against South Carolina. And, of course, Jalen Milroe was on the docket, and you saw him last year as well. Hell, half of his people on the defense played against Jaden Daniels in practice. So I was a little shocked that the mobility was a
yeah,
big issue in A&M and in Alabama. But do you think that them moving schemes, trying to have that three linebacker set, trying to put Perk in the star, get him a little more aggressive, close to the line, try to get him in that spot where he's not playing a balanced approach, you think that's going to help out and help them, see ball, get ball?
I think it's a good idea because going to the three linebacker look, now you're going to see them emphasize stopping the run more. All right. And you're taking one less DB off the field, but I think they feel confident about the secondary they're going to have. We talked about it. Delane from Virginia Tech, Jaheim Jackson from Florida, Ashton Stamps coming back, DJ Pickett, who I think is going to have some impact of some sort next year, right? So I think they're anticipating that they're going to be able to lock up a little more and be able to depend on their corners versus what they was able to do this year. And when you feel like that as a staff, now you say, okay, let's bring another linebacker on the field so we could emphasize stopping the run. And I think they're going to put it to where teams going to have to beat them throwing the ball. And when you look around the SEC, right, DJ Lagway is the only quarterback that I look at next year that I see, man, this guy could put up over 300 some yards passing on any given Saturday. All right. Georgia, Carson Beck is gone. So Stockton gonna be the starter next year, probably. I'm not really too high on Stockton as far as a passer. Not saying he can't win games and put Georgia as one of the best teams in the SEC, but he doesn't put fear in my heart.
Right.
Nico from Tennessee. I know he was only a freshman this year. Think he's a good player. He doesn't put fear in my heart. Without Dylan Sampson this year, that offense probably is mediocre. So he still has to show me something. And then when you start looking around at Bama, Jalen Murrow, is he going to go to the draft? Is he going to come back? I don't know. Jalen Murrow doesn't scare me throwing the ball. He just doesn't. I'm terrified of his legs, but it doesn't scare me throwing the ball. So when you think about it in that perspective, right, and you think about the quarterback position, that's why I feel the way I feel, because there's not many quarterbacks in the SEC that I see and I look at and I say, man, I do not want to face him next year. DJ Lagway would be the only one.
Yeah, DJ Lagway is a very, very interesting player. And then, like, building off the more mobile threats, I'm not sure if Jalen Milroe is going to come back, but if he doesn't, I know who's taking over as the you got to contain him, you got to spy him. Damn, Lenore Sellers, bro. That's a name that's going to be torching potentially. I know.
But Lenore Sellers, look, I think he's a good player, but he's never going to be somebody that's going to just throw it all over the yard.
No, yeah, he's not gonna have the arm, but the
Yeah,
legs. I think he could be
yeah,
that. Like you were saying, you're
yeah.
terrified of the mobility. If he comes into Tiger Stadium and gets loose, he could break one off on you bad. And I agree. You don't got many people that are gonna be able to torch that secondary, going to be able to really make you stress potentially. I don't know,
So
but
they're going to emphasize on
Manning,
stopping the run.
how
That's
you
going to
feel
be the
about
whole.
Arch Manning
That's going
next
to be
year?
the whole thing for next year.
How do you feel about Arch in the transition? What you think about him? You think he's ready? Because I feel like Texas is they they itching to get him out there. I don't think Quinn
Yeah,
Irons is going to be able to return if he would want to.
Quinn Ewers, I saw a report coming out saying somebody throwing $8 million at him to get in the transfer portal. It might have been 10 million. I can't remember the number. It was something crazy. Uh, I think Arch got a lot of experience this year. I think that's going to help him if he is a starter next year. Look, Arch is 6'3". He mobile. He can make every throw. He comes from that Manning tree. And then the thing about it, what people have to understand when you start talking about can a quarterback have success and all of this and all of that, man, it's about the situation he's in. Steve Sarkisian is a quarterback guru. He's a quarterback whisperer. That's what they call him. He does a great job of developing quarterbacks. He does a great job of putting them in the right type of position to be successful and highlight what they do well, and don't put them in positions with stuff that they don't do well. And on top of that, he's going to have a great roster next year. He's going to have a shitload of receivers, tight ends, offensive line. The defense is going to be really, really good. Texas is just going to reload next year, right? So if Quinn Ewers is the quarterback or Arch is the quarterback, I think Texas is going to still be one of the best teams in the country because of what they have around him. And
Right.
so I think when you think about it in that regard, Arch is going to be fine, man. He's going to be fine, and I think that experience he got this year, I think he played in like 4-5 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to help him tremendously because we always see, and I know I'm beating a dead horse when I say this all the time on the show. Experience is the best teacher.
Now that makes me wonder. I want to know what you think about Gunnar Stockton a little more, though. If he gets to play 2 games, let's say they beat Notre Dame, let's say the Sugar Bowl goes their way, which I feel like isn't really impossible, and we can move into the predictions for this game as well if you'd like. Like, yeah,
We
Carson
gotta
Beck,
touch on Ashton Genty too, man. Gotta touch on that.
but like the Carson Beck being out thing, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel sometimes when teams see their main guy go out, everybody's like, all right, let's step it up. Let's raise the level of play. Let's make sure that our ends are taken care of so we can help pick up the slack on that side. And if this happens and Stockton's playing 2 playoff games and he's around someone like Kirby Smart or, uh, big talented group like Georgia, do you think that he's going to be able to get the rub, or do you think Georgia's going to have to, I mean, I'm not going to say transfer somebody in. What is Georgia's step with this if Stockton potentially goes in not the situation that they were hoping for? Or do you think these 2 playoff games could put him in a spot where, all right, yeah, now he's ready?
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar Stockton, I think he's solid. Nothing more, nothing less. If you go and you look at the history of what Kirby Smart's teams look like since he's been there, the quarterback position is not the position that people pay attention to like that. All right. He wants somebody back there that's just gonna make good decisions, right? and he's gonna have a really good offensive line. He's gonna have a really good running back stable. His defense gonna be suffocating and dominant, and that's how Georgia teams are. That's what they made of. You know, they don't have quarterbacks that come out that's considered to be a first round pick. That's just not the makeup of his teams. I know they were talking about Carson Beck was will be a potential first round pick leading up to this year. I never felt like that about Carson Beck. I thought he was a solid quarterback, just like Gunnar Stockton. I think they're solid quarterbacks. They can win you some games. They can even win you a national championship because of what they have around them and how good of a coach Kirby Smart is. But Gunnar Stockton, I think he's gonna put Georgia in a position to get to the national championship. I do. I think this is the time of the year where Georgia starts getting better. You know, their defense hasn't been the dominant and suffocating defense we've known them to have since Kirby Smart's been there. But I think if you've been watching them over the last 2 or 3 weeks, they look a little different than they did the first 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season. And I think they're only getting better. That three-headed monster with Trevor Etienne, who didn't play a whole lot this year, and Frazier, the true freshman, and the other running back Robinson. Man, it's hard to prepare for three different type of backs like that. And that offensive line, they just maul y'all deep. They maul y'all deep. And I think when you look at they're playing against what Notre Dame.
Yep.
You know, Notre Dame, good team, really good team. But I just think that Georgia's gonna beat them in all three phases. I think that Riley Leonard is gonna be running for his life, and they're gonna need their defense to probably create 2 to 3 turnovers and probably winning a special teams game for them to have a chance to beat Georgia. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think Gunnar Stockton gonna have to do too much to win the game. You know, if he could throw for about 220 yards, maybe one touchdown, and don't turn the ball over, Georgia should be fine.
I agree. Yeah, I think Notre Dame obviously had a good season, was able to beat A&M. It's a lot more than we could say. But for them to come down, especially in the South, and beat the best team in the SEC, or one of the best teams at least for that nature, I'm not gonna buy it. I don't think it happens. I'm taking Georgia money line. That's some damn value too. They got it at pick'em. Not like we said, the game is probably going to be postponed. I would stay tuned. That's the murmurs. It was supposed to be at 7:45 tonight, but might be moved. Yeah, G, I think Georgia money line. I feel like the defenses are really going to be the name of the game here. Everybody's not expecting offensive fireworks. Notre Dame hadn't been extremely productive. Obviously, Riley Leonard is a great quarterback, but I feel like their biggest assets, that defense. They've been able to stop you. They've been able to kind of create some confusion.
I don't think they're gonna stop Georgia run.
It's going to be rough. Georgia, you're talking about the trench play. It's like they've had both sides of the lines, whether it be defense or offensive, be very impressive. And I feel like they kind of play off of each other. If you got a good defensive line, it makes the offensive line better, and vice versa. You got good people to go against in practice. Iron sharpens iron. I'll give you 2 plays. I already said Georgia money line. If you want to risk it on New Year's, if you want to jump into 2025 feeling a little froggy, I take the over. I know we're talking about defense. I know this. I know that. It's like, what, 44 points? Just try it. Try it. It's low. It's a playoff game. Gee, that's 21 points both teams. I know it's crazy, but when I see a total like that, I would either ignore it or sprinkle a juice on it. If you want
I'm
value,
thinking the under, man. I'm thinking the under.
all
I'm
right.
thinking the score along the line of 21-13.
I'm thinking this could be an opportunity. And if it's a risky opportunity, but hey, skate money don't make money. You know the deal. All right, you want to talk about Genty real quick, or you want to run into the next game?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk that. Let's talk about Ashton Genty, man.
30 rush attempts, 100 yards, 3 yards per carry. It's been interesting. And then, well, I'm going to let you get your opportunity. Go ahead.
Everybody was butthurt. I ain't gonna say everybody, but a lot of people was butthurt that Ashton Genty didn't win the Heisman Trophy, and it felt like Travis Hunter shouldn't have got it over him. And I've said this in the past, and I said this about the NBA, and I said this about the Heisman Trophy. Like when they talk about the NBA MVP and the Heisman Trophy, even the Naismith for college basketball, they should pick these awards after the season is over, not while the season is going on, not while the playoffs are going on. Because in my opinion, you make your name and you make your legacy about what you do in the postseason. And sometimes, like in the past in the NBA, they have a really, really good regular season. Same thing in the NFL. have a really, really good regular season. Postseason come, they shit the bed. Well, guess what? If Ashton Jeter would have won the Heisman Trophy, right, and he put a performance up like that last night, what you think everybody would have been saying? Man, this dude shouldn't have won the Heisman. Travis Hunter should have won the Heisman. That's what everybody would have been saying. And so, even though I think Travis Hunter was deserving of the Heisman Trophy, I still think Ashton Jeter is a really, really good player. I thought he did a really good job still being able to, break tackles and get that extra yardage yesterday, because I'm telling you, Penn State was putting a hat on him.
Yeah.
They was tagging him. It was like 4, 5, 6 blue jerseys every time he touched the ball. And if anything, what he showed me yesterday, that he's a tough player, and I think he's built for the NFL, right? I think he kind of reminds me of a faster version of Alvin Kamara with that balance. Like, you can't just bring him down with arm tackling. You got to really wrap his legs up and bring him to the ground. If you don't, he's getting that extra 2 or 3 yards. The thing about it, this wasn't UNLV. You was playing last night.
Right.
This was Penn State. And you could tell the point of emphasis was let's rally to the football and put a hat on him every chance we get. And you saw it resulted into him having 2 fumbles.
Yep.
And I thought that last night really, really solidified that Travis Hunter was the Heisman Trophy winner. All right.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. So I think Travis Hunter won this award for 2 reasons. I mean, it's probably never gonna happen again. And if it does, I don't think it can happen at that level. I think toward the midpoint of the season, people were kind of just really excited that he's on both sides. He's playing all the snaps. I didn't think he hit that elite mark yet. Toward the end of the year, you see him climbing to that top 10, that top 5. I'm talking about in like both sides. I didn't think he did enough where it was like, he's a phenomenal wide receiver or he's a phenomenal DB. I think half the hype at that midpoint of the year was he's doing both. And I get it. It's tough. I ain't doing both. Shit, I ain't doing one. But toward the end of the year, he started getting them stats, getting it together, being a big piece, 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards, 100+ this. In that bowl game versus BYU, he got 100 yards on 4 catches. He got that nice touchdown. But this is the devil's advocate part that I want to play. So you can have 2 groups of thought here, right? The playoffs, you got a lot of teams having players opt out. I mean, it wasn't a big bowl game for Colorado, and they didn't have as much pressure. But it was also, they were playing their last game. They had Shiloh, Shador. They had all their guys out there that at least were riding out together for their last time. And then they get bushwhacked by BYU. What I think people, and I felt like I'm comfortable with Travis Hunter getting the Heisman because, like I said, we're probably not seeing that level of wide receiver play combined with the DB play ever again. And everybody wants to talk about the snaps. It's because he doesn't have a lot of stats on the tackles, and that's a good thing. And a lot of people don't understand on the cornerback side that if you're not getting targeted, you're not going to have shit to fill up on the stat sheet. It's kind of a compliment. But the devil's advocate part I want to bring up is, I do see a little bit of the Jeanty argument because if you take off Travis Hunter and you take off Ashton Jeanty, I think Colorado could have figured it out and could have been in a similar situation, while Boise State would have never sniffed a college football playoff. And you're not winning awards based on that. I get it. It's kind of like not necessarily a popularity contest, but at times, let's look at the Biletnikoff last year. We know who needed to win it. It was Malik, and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. gets it. And it's not saying Marvin had a bad year, but they were saying, well, look at Malik's quarterback and look at Marvin's. And then they go to the NFL, and we're pretty much watching the situation play out in the contrary. Malik's got the worse quarterback, or not as good of a quarterback, at least if you ask me, and he's performing better. And I'm not saying that Ashton Jeanty's better. What I'm saying is it an impact award or is it a performance award? If we can have like a little bit of a more clear understanding of what people are voting for in this situation, because some of these voters, you got some people who didn't even give a first place vote to either one of these guys. So I think, quite frankly, what we're going to have to do is just entirely change the system. Like you said, do it after the season. I'll second that. Maybe even change who's voting. Because like I said, I know it sounds crazy and I'm scoffing at it, but you check the voting sheet. There's a handful, dozens of people that said, meh, it wasn't Travis or Jeanty. So there's a lot of problems with this award. There's a lot of biases. There's a lot of groups of thought. It's definitely going to have to be more uniform. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's just, it's something to just get people engaged at that point of the year. At this point, it's similar to the NBA MVP or the NFL MVP. We know who the NFL MVP is. I'll be biased too. I think it's Joe Burrow. I think he's pulling together a lot of rabbits out of a hat. Lamar Jackson's phenomenal, and he was my fantasy quarterback. So I put a ring on my finger this year because of Lamar, and I ain't trying to disrespect him. If he gets it, I'd be happy. But it's similar in all sports, right? It's not always the best player or the most valuable player to their team. Sometimes it's just a guy that had the best year, that was able to put the best campaign together. And albeit I'm gonna give him his flowers and his credit, but I wonder what would have happened if there was an Ashton Gentilus Boise State and a Travis Hunterless Colorado. I feel like Boise State's wheels were going to fall off that wagon without him. And I mean, shit, the wheels fell off the wagon with him. So I couldn't imagine the 50 ball, 60 ball, million ball that they would have took from the Nittany Lions in that playoff game if Genty took the way Samson did and had that hammy get cramped up in the first quarter. Now, that would have been a catastrophe, and you really would have been scoffing at this. But I see both sides. Like I said, it's kind of hard. I don't really have a dog in the race here. I like Travis Hunter. I think, you're never going to see this again. And I hope he plays both positions in NFL. Screw it. Whoever's getting him is the first pick in the draft.
You're going against grown men now. It's a little different.
I know it's different, but I'm talking about we're talking about engaging people and just putting them in a situation to see what one he's best at. If he wants
he should do the same thing Deion did. Deion played primarily corner, but they had some packages where he played receiver. I think it should be something like that. But to play full time corner and receiver, I don't think that's a good idea for Travis Hunter, man. Especially if he want to have some longevity in the league.
I could see it happening only because maybe not 100 snaps, but like you were saying, a good combo, a good healthy mix, just because whoever's drafting him is in dire need of ticket sales, in dire need of some type of buzz going on for this fan base. Because, hey, if you drafting first, it's not normally something that's an indication of you doing good. I think that obviously, whoever he goes to, I think it's the Patriots got the first pick. If he goes to New England and Gerard Mayo gets a hold of him, he's probably going to keep him on that defensive side. But I would love to see him get thrown in the mix. I mean, we're talking about we're never going to see it again. Shit, we need to get it while it's good. We need to enjoy it. I want to sit back, put my feet up, and watch. I don't want to see him get hurt, obviously, so I ain't advocating for a situation that will kill him. But I feel like it could be interesting. Let's see. What if he can do it? You never know.
17 games versus 12 games is a huge difference.
And then it's also the physicality and stuff, too. But look, I just want to put this out there, and I know I'm being overzealous, but you remember that 7-minute mile story? Everybody's like, man, you ain't running no 7-minute mile. And the first dude running, they're like, oh shit, I'm running a 7-minute mile. Now I'm running a 7-minute mile. You never know. What if he can get 60 snaps on both sides? Like not 100, but what if he can just get like 10 plays on offense, 50 on defense?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. That's something like what Deion did back in the day with the 49ers and the Cowboys. He played like somewhere around there, like 8 to 10 snaps a game on offense, but he played most of his snaps on defense. If he does that, I think that's more realistic than, look, I'm going to play offense. Then as soon as the offense comes up, I'm going to play defense. No, bro. No. Hell
Could
no.
he play? What you think about how many? Is he going to have like a whole drive he sits out? Is he going to be a part of every drive? Is he going to have at least look? What's the deal like?
And Deion should be talking to him about not trying to do something like that. And look, Travis Hunter only about 160 pounds soaking wet now. So, look, going to tackle a running back in the NFL and going to tackle a running back that played for Iowa State, two totally different things. So you got to think about all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see. I'm going to be rooting for it. I ain't going to lie. I'm always ready for the entertainment. You want to talk about the draft stock real quick, G? You got time?
Yeah.
Got somebody in the chat. I want to pop this up, man, asking, is G in the Rolls Royce? whipping that Starry John. G driving slick.
Oh, man.
Real quick before we move into this NFL draft stock, I want to shout out Happy Dad. You know the drill. Best days and hard seltzer on the market. You know where to get it in Louisiana.
They'll never try it, man.
We getting it. We gonna celebrate. I'm coming down to Homer, and we gonna crack this thing open. You know where to get it. Push your buggy down the damn liquor aisle in Walmart, in Rouse's and Albertsons. If you don't feel like going out to the grocery store, look, I don't blame you. Hit the description. Go to the link. Click it. Go to the promo section before you check out. Type in Vernon15, and we'll grab you 15% off. You can get the merch, get you dripped up. And G, I got you a case. Matter of fact, 2 cases. Dos cases, brother. Let's move into this draft stock talk. I got some names that I think are going at the top, And then I got some names that I think I'm going to have to see some stuff for at the pro day. And I feel like there's a lot of pieces here that could potentially surprise some people. And I'm going to be non-traditional. I'm going to start it bottom up. I had a comment talking about Greg Penn, and I know a lot of people are wondering if Greg Penn's going to get drafted. And I feel like I just want to go to bat for him a little bit. Very, very veteran mind. We were talking about LSU having to replace the Mike. Who's been that? It's old GP3. And he did it really well, quite frankly. I mean, I feel like he was a surefire guy, double-digit tackles several times. The quarterback of the defense is not really an easy feat to accomplish, right? And I think a lot of NFL teams are going to recognize this, especially at this level, for how long he was able to do it. I'm not talking about Greg being a top 3-4 round pick, but I don't think he's going to go undrafted. And it might, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be even a question, but I mean, gee, how are you feeling about someone like that? Or, I mean, maybe even a Josh Williams, Zy Alexander, Major Burns. I don't know if Gio Paez has declared yet. I feel like he's out of eligibility. Garrett Dellinger, and then I
Tavion
feel like,
Jones, huh?
yeah, Savion Jones as well. I feel like the other names, your Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Mason Taylor, Braden Swinson, and I feel like a Kyron Lacey are pretty much guaranteed a top 4 pick. I feel like the way that they're going to test, the way that their pro days and camps are going to go, I think that they've done it. I feel like the other side of it, the names we had mentioned, the Josh Williams, the Zy, the Greg, Major, Dellinger, they might be in a little bit of a mix, but I think my guy Greg's going to get drafted. Definitely hope Josh Williams will get drafted. I want to build off of that story real quick. You were talking about that touchdown, how fitting it was to end. He told the media after the game that they've been practicing that direct snap play for weeks, months even. And Joe Sloan several times throughout the year was like, hey, Josh, get ready. It's coming. And it never came. And finally in the last game, play got called. He's ready, seizes the moment, goes right in and ends off his career in one of the best ways possible. I mean, there really isn't a bigger team player than a Josh Williams. So I feel like teams got to recognize this. You always hear the stories of, you know, why'd you pass up on this player? This is like a real infamous story that
Former
people have
walk
passed
on.
around. And people are saying, like, why would you pass on this player and draft this guy? And they always say the little analogy, well, the better guy would be the one bringing everybody out to the club and distracting everybody, while this guy's going to be the glue and keeping everybody in and holding them accountable. Now, you do have to have the locker room pieces. You do got to keep in mind who's going to be a leader, who's going to be the person that steps up and holds everyone accountable. Who better than Josh Williams? He held a damn player meeting for LSU, and he gave us a little detail on that as well. He was saying, look, I've been here 6 years. I've seen damn near everything, national championships, Heismans, lows, coaches getting fired, coaches getting hired. This type of experience doesn't come around often, especially at that running back spot. Why not draft him? Why let him go? I mean, if you're talking about 5th, 6th, 7th round, who else is on the board at this point?
I think Josh was what might hurt him with a lot of NFL teams is his medical history. Uh, you know, the NFL is big on that, especially when you're talking about the running back position. Played 6 years in the SEC, a lot of wear and tear. He dealt with some injuries over the course of that 6 years. I think he's gonna be somebody that it's gonna be tough to see. It's gonna be tough for a team to say we just gonna draft him. All right. If he does, I can't see it being before the 6th round. You might have a team that might pick him in the 6th or the 7th round, but I think that's gonna be the thing that's gonna hurt him, man. His medical history.
What would you say for someone like a Greg Penn, a Zy Alexander, Savion, people of that? Where would you see them going? And what
Greg,
the Greg Penn
you know,
specifically?
I can't remember. Did Omar Speights get drafted last year?
I don't think he did. I think he went to LA and balled in that UDFA.
He went undrafted. He went undrafted, and he's starting for the Rams and be making some plays. And
Yep.
look, he had in his last year with LSU was not that good. Now, having said all of that, he's a specimen. Have you ever seen Omar Speights in person? This dude looked like a creative player off Madden.
Yeah, facts.
Like for real. Like especially if you take his shirt off, you're gonna be like, God damn.
At the pro day,
Like,
he had to flex on us a little bit.
yeah, like no did it, but I'm just saying. So he looked like a grown action figure. Like for real. So Greg, I can see a team falling in love with him during the interview process, especially his intellect, the way he's able to process things and get people lined up, and he's a good player, And I know Blake Baker and that staff is gonna vouch for him. I can see Penn getting drafted 5th round, 6th round, maybe. You know, I think with him, what will really make a team fall in love with him too, if he interviews well and they see how his mind work, and you hear these coaches vouching for him, if he tests well. I'm kind of curious to see what he's gonna run in the 40. How many times he gonna hit 225? How he gonna look in the linebacker drills? Will he even get an invite to the combine to be able to showcase himself, or does he have to wait till the pro day? So a lot of different things comes into play when you start talking about, you know, those guys that has those fifth round to undrafted grades. A lot of stuff gotta go right during this process for them to have an opportunity to get their name called. Who's the next guy? Savion Jones.
Yep.
I think now. See, last year Savion Jones had a lot of NFL scouts raving about him. He didn't have the year people thought he was going to have. I thought that wasn't all like entirely his fault. You remember how they had all that dysfunction in the D line room last year, where they didn't have a coach with I forgot the guy they hired from South Carolina that had the brain tumor.
Lindsey.
Lindsey.
Jimmy Lindsey.
He couldn't. He never was able to coach that room, so they had to get a analyst and people like that to fill in and help with the. I heard Brian Kelly was even helping with the D line at some point last year. So I think that kind of hurt Savion last year with his development, and even somebody like Mason Smith last year. But uh, I can see Savion Jones getting drafted fifth round, somewhere around there. Solid player, good character guy, great size. I think he could have a solid NFL career, and I think teams are gonna fall in love with him when they interview him too. Who else we got? Zay Alexander. I definitely think Zay has an opportunity to get drafted fourth, fifth round, somewhere around there. Kind of curious to see how he's gonna test. All right. I think if Zay runs a 4.5 or a high 4, a low 4, a high 4.4 or a low 4.5, I can see Zay getting picked for a round. He got the length, 6'1", 6'2", right? He made some plays this year. I thought coming back off the ACL injury, he showed that he was one of the better corners in the SEC. For about a 4-5 week stretch, he had like some of the best coverage grades out of all the corners in the SEC. Not saying he didn't have any bad moments this season, but I really like Zay Alexander, and he's another character guy, another guy that when they go talk to Corey Raymond, they're gonna talk about the person and how hard of a worker he is, and so you know it's gonna come down to how he tests as well, because he has the measurables for sure.
I think
Who else we got?
one of the bigger pieces too, Swinson. I think Swinson, I ain't gonna lie, his film phenomenal. Watching him in that game, the fact that he played in the game, first off, the fact that he played the way he did, like his hair's on effing fire. It looks like he has fun out there. Really has a passion for it. I mean, it don't look like he's in a grueling trenching spot like he really is. I mean, dude coming off the edge, getting beat up by the old lineman. He's looking like it's just a kid in a candy store. That type of mindset, I think that radiates off of a player. And I think Swinson's really special. I think he could be another one of those picks around. I don't know. I think he could go fourth, fifth round. What do you think about his film? What do you think about the build and just what he showed us also?
Swinson definitely has the traits and the ability to be a good edge rusher in the NFL. He was on fire with the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and then you kind of stop hearing about him. Now, I would have to dive into the film and really go back and see what happened and why he you know, kind of disappeared in the latter part of the season. I don't know if they was keeping a running back in to chip him, or they was sliding protection his way. I would have to go back and watch the film and see. But when I saw him the first five weeks of the season and how he was getting after the quarterback over and over and over and winning his one-on-one matchup, he definitely showed me that he could be somebody that could get drafted in the top 4 rounds of the draft. Absolutely. And he's another one, man. Has the mindset, transfer from Oregon. I heard Brian Kelly talk about his family. He loved how his family raised him and things like that. And then he has a good story. The USC game, he talked about it. What, his uncle died or somebody died during the middle of the game.
His aunt.
His aunt, and he was playing this season for his auntie, and you can see how close knit he is with his family. And that's the kind of guys you won't draft, man. You want to draft guys like that. Of course, you got to have the ability and the traits. And I think Swinson has that, man. I don't know if he's playing in the. I think he's playing in the East West Shrine game.
I think so. I think he, Savion, Zai. There's a couple other pieces that accepted their
Yeah,
invite.
they playing in the East West Shrine. Kyron Lacey and there's only one other person playing in a Senior Bowl for LSU. It's Kyron and
Is it a lineman? Is it Frazier?
might be Frazier.
Um, Talk about Kyron Lacey. What do you think about him? What is he gonna have a big pro day? Where you think he's going? What do you think about this whole process for him as well?
Kyron got a lot of flack from fans about him not playing in the bowl game, and people saying he could have solidified himself as a higher draft pick if he'd have played against Baylor. I beg to differ about that. You know, if LSU was playing in a 12-team playoff, of course he'd have played in it. Or if let's say they'd have played against Colorado, right? And you get an opportunity to go against somebody like Travis Hunter, or you playing against a team like Michigan and Will Johnson say he's playing. I think that would have been the only reason it would have made sense for him to play in a bowl game. All right, Baylor didn't have any corners or anybody in their secondary that's even draft worthy at this point. Baylor's defense has a lot of people that didn't play in the game, and so it just wouldn't have made sense for Kyron to play in the game. He's been training, working with the receiver coach, the former receiver coach for the New Orleans Saints, Curtis Johnson, who is, you know, heavily stamped by a lot of NFL teams, right? When you talk about people that train with this guy and he works with them, and NFL teams find out, that's a big deal. And so Curtis Johnson has been working hands on with Kyron Lacey since he decided he wasn't going to play in the bowl game. He's getting ready to go uh, to Dallas and train at Exos with Brent Callaway, who was one of the best speed trainers, if not the best speed trainer out there. Brent Callaway has been saying that he thinks that Kyron can run a low 4.5 or possibly the high 4.4s, like a 4.48 or maybe a 4.51. And if Kyron does that, man, I could see Kyron going second, maybe third round the latest. If he can run a 4.48, somewhere around there, or low 4.5, I can see him going second or third round for sure. Now, he's playing in the Senior Bowl. I've seen a lot of receivers go to the Senior Bowl and really elevate themselves in a draft. And he's going to have all the opportunity in the world. Nagy, the guy that's over the Senior Bowl, is excited about getting Kyron down into Mobile. A lot of teams going to be in attendance to watch him. They're going to be able to interview him. They're going to be able to interact with him and talk with him, see how he takes the coaching. I can see him elevating himself, right? Don't be surprised if he elevated himself so much to the point where they say, look, maybe he's a first round pick now. Because we all know if you watch Kyron, he has all the traits and the ability to be a top receiver in the NFL. 6'2.5", could jump out the gym. The biggest thing that Kyron does well that you just don't see in the NFL from a whole lot of players at that size is his ability to be able to transition, man, be able to get in and out of his cuts, put that foot in the ground, and make people miss in space, man. I think that's one of the redeeming qualities about him that a lot of NFL teams love. I talked to Coach Yard, who's the receiver coach for the Los Angeles Rams. He is in love with Kyron Lacey, and he played a big part into Cooper Kupp's development and Puka Nacua, right? Somebody they drafted out of BYU a few years ago, out of 5th round, and so he think Kyron has the ability to have that kind of impact in the NFL. And Keith Williams, the receiver coach for the Saints, he's been raving about Kyron. The biggest thing about Kyron, like I said, man, he got to test well, and he has to interview well with these teams because a lot of people are going to bring up the gun celebrations and going live and things like that. Guy, he's never been arrested, never been in no real trouble. And so I think when NFL teams dive in, which they've been doing over the course of the last few weeks, they're gonna see this guy. This guy's a good kid. He's just super passionate about football, and he has to learn to control his emotions. And when you see a guy like that, that's the kind of guy you want on your team going to battle for you on Sunday. So right now, Kyron, I think out of all the players on LSU, he's the one that is such a wide margin of where he can go. I can see him going third round, but I can also see him going first round. So he has a lot at stake leading up to the Senior Bowl, into the combine. And so I'm excited for him. I mean, everybody that knows kind of knows me that me and him has a really, really close relationship. And he signed with Alliance Sports Agency, which is Rocky Arsenal, one of the best agencies out there. That's Jamar Chase, Jameson Williams, Ezekiel Elliott. You know, he represents those guys. He represented Marshall Falk back in the day. Eric Dickinson. So this guy has a lot of experience with big name and top players coming out of college. So I anticipate, man, Kyron is the sky's the limit for him. And I think when we look back, we're gonna say that, you know, he was one of the best receivers in his draft.
When is the Senior Bowl?
February. It's like I think it's the first week of February.
I'm there. I'll make sure I'm there.
Yeah,
Mobile, you driving over there? How you getting over there?
Probably so. I'm not gonna go every day out. I probably go like maybe maybe 2 days. I know the plan right now for Kyron is for him to just do the practices. He's not gonna play in the game. Just gonna do the practices and he's gonna interview with the teams.
Okay. For the Senior Bowl, how many, like, are they gonna have 100 people on the team? Like, how many players in the opportunity?
Right now, I think they only have. No, it ain't gonna be 100. It don't be that many. But I think right now they only have 6 receivers for the team that he's on.
And that's the West or the East? What one? That's the West?
I forgot. I don't know. I can't remember if he's on the West or the East. But I think it's only like 6 receivers. It ain't a whole lot. And you know, people could call me biased, but I think he's the best one that's going to be there.
I'm excited to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we hop out, I want to answer a couple of these questions. We got George in the chat asking, is Shadez Green still playing basketball? I mean, that's the word. I don't know how much he's going to be able to play. I feel like that's a little risky, especially with how good of a year he just had. You're the perfect person to ask about this, right? Basketball or football? What's your go-to explanation for these guys?
Shadez made a comment earlier in the year that he was still going to play basketball. Now, I would think whoever's advising him and talking to him, they're probably telling him right now, like, look, bro, let's hang the basketball shoes up. Yeah, like, you about to be the guy next year. And so while you could be in the lab working on your skills and getting ready for the spring, playing basketball could set you back. And I just think that's a lot of wear and tear on his body. You know, basketball goes all the way into March, and then spring football starts like at the end of March. I just think he needs to give his body a break with all that wear and tear, man. You know, he's playing in the SEC. You know, you're going against Kentucky's and the Arkansas of the world for basketball, and that's no joke, bro. And I just don't see him really getting any playing time. I just don't see it. You're not going to come in the middle of January during conference play and just insert him into the lineup. I just don't see that happening.
0 minutes, please.
He's a good player, and I think that, you know, if basketball was the only sport he was playing, he probably would be a person that rotates in as a true freshman for LSU. But coming in mid-January, I just don't see it happening. I would hope that Shadez says, I'm just going to focus straight on football and go get his money, man. Go get your money in football, bro.
I agree. I mean, a lot more opportunity. Plus, I mean, bro, you 6'7", like you were saying, mismatch, barbecue chicken alert. Everybody that they put on you, too small, too slow, whatever the case may be. I feel like the 2 touchdowns yesterday in that bowl game was a huge indication for that. And I'm not sure if they're updating the statistics because he had 4 touchdowns in the regular season, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know if the bowl game statistics get added to this being paid.
It does.
Okay, I was wondering if he had 6 altogether. But, I mean, look, he's stringing together a lot of big plays and in a true freshman year in a situation where, like, we're going to watch one of the best tight ends in LSU history and Mason Taylor leave. And I think that level of play, that bar, that standard of excellence is going to be met. It might even, in some ways, be surpassed.
I think Shadez is going to break. He's going to end up with the most touchdowns in LSU history for a tight end by the time it's time for him to leave.
It's hard not to think it. You know what I'm saying? 6'7" in the red zone, throw it up, one on bum, have fun. It's not going to be. It's not going to be fun covering number 14. Hopefully, I don't know who's going to take 7 on offense, but it's a good opportunity for him to grab it. Aaron Anderson, that's another one. Real quick before we hop out, who's your guess? Early guess, number 7 on offense. Now that Will Campbell has relinquished it, obviously defense will be Harold Perkins, but who's the offensive cat? I mean, look, you got 3, and I know they're doing the Louisiana thing. I mean, Patrick Peterson started it. I don't think we should do. It has to be from Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind seeing Caden Durham get it. I wouldn't mind seeing Trades Green get it, even though they're young. I know it's their second year. People might say hot take, but it's supposed to be the best player, right? What do you think?
I think you put it on the shelf.
Okay, you waited. Just wait it out. We don't need it. We don't need it right now.
Look, we gotta understand, man. You don't want to start watering this thing down.
Okay.
All right. Well, next time when they give out number 7, man, you gotta make sure we get it right. You gotta
Okay.
get it right.
I value that. I respect that, especially if the way that the last couple of years have went. You didn't see it on the field for 2 years, and then obviously you got the Keyshawn Boutte situation. So yeah, it might be the best way.
What I'm saying, put it on the shelf, man. Put it on the shelf.
Let it collect some dust for a little bit. Let me wear it. Let me put it on for the season on the sideline. Let me wear that thing. I appreciate your time, G. Thank you for stopping by. You know the drill. Go in the descriptions. Click G's link. Follow him on Twitter at G_sports. We live on your channel as well. Make sure you hit a thumbs up button. Subscribe to both of our channels. We're live Monday, Wednesday, Friday after 1 o'clock. Y'all have a good one. G, wait, anything you want to say for you, Hop Out? I'm going to give you the opportunity.
I haven't checked this since we've been on the stream, but I know Texas was up 14-3 on Arizona State, wasn't it? So I don't know what the score is now.
It is 17-3 with 7 left in the third quarter. Let's look at the box score real quick. Ayers 6 for 10, 114. Wisner 7 carries, 20 yards. Is Bond not playing? What happened with Bond?
I don't know. I don't think he's hurt anything. He hasn't been having any production lately.
Okay.
The tight end Helm been the one that's been leading him in receiving for the last few weeks. So, I don't know what's going on with that. And Bond is projected to go first round.
I got him on my ultimate team in CFB. When we cracking that open? When we running that?
Man, listen. Hey, I've been on a streak, man.
You said you've been on fire?
Football.
You said you've been on fire? Hey, G,
fire,
Mr. Firefighter,
bro,
Mr. Fireman,
look,
I might have to extinguish that.
Look, I'm gonna say some notable names that I've been digging in, man. Jamie Vance, one of the starting corner at USC, right? Been digging in him. And I've been beating it with teams like SMU, Kyron Lacey. I made Kyron Lacey concede the other day.
No.
Yes. Beat him with Michigan. Beat the dog shit out of him. Right? Yes. Montrell Johnson, the running back at Florida. I've been running through, you know what I'm saying? Some of these top tier Louisiana players that's playing college football. Montrell Johnson, man, beat this ball with Utah. Yeah, we got the 28-year-old quarterback, man, and put it to him.
That man growing gray hair on the field, Cam.
I killed them, right? And then I've been playing some other people, man, around that, that don't play college football, but they really, really good NCAA players, man. And I'm telling you, I'm on a winning streak, bro. Like I'm on it's like a 15-game win streak. And I ain't playing no poo-putts. I'm playing some really good players. I had a guy, and I played Damian Jacobs. I don't know if you remember him. He played at HL Bourgeois, played D tackle, played at Florida under Muschamp. Been busting him up. Like I've been beating some people, bro, and I need some competition, man. So anybody that's watching the stream, man, hit me up. My gamer tag is G_PIF08. I'm like that. I play on 5-minute quarters, no accelerated clock. We can play on a neutral site because I'm tired of people making an excuse about home field advantage. I go on the road and win. It don't matter to me, right? Go get a quarterback that can make checks at the line. Ding. That's all you got to do. People making all these excuses. But I'm really like that, bro. I'm not saying I can't be beat because sometimes salt look like sugar. But I'm telling you right now, I'm like that. I ain't using no glitches off TikTok like some of you guys. I'm playing real football. Hey. I'm lining up, hat on a hat. You run the wrong formation.
I'm about to put somebody on blast in the chat. You want to talk about cheese plays on TikTok? This man Coco, this man's talking about his team, his ultimate team. This is the cheesiest dude in the world. This is TikTok. This is Mr. I'm gonna run 5 plays, and if they don't work, I'm bust up. So I think you know what. I don't think you gotta wait for any viewer though to add your gamer tag. I think the person you'll comp, I think he might be sitting right here. We need some steaks. What's the steaks? We got to ask.
Hey, we could put up. Hey, I tell you what. This is what we could do. Loser got to buy the other one a steak dinner.
Let's get it. Man, I'm shaking on the camera. Let's go. Y'all heard it here first. And we doing it live. Let's get it.
Whenever you ready. We could do it tonight. What you got going on?
I'm gonna have to get my capture card for the stream the game. Let's do it either Friday or Sunday. Let's do it this week. And then you know what? We might have to start adding some people in here too. We might have to start adding a little tourney, maybe a little tournament. Hold up. Did we just start something? A little tourney for the NCAA?
We could do it. It got a guy that hit me up. His last name is DeLarge. I forgot his first name. He hit me up on Instagram randomly. He was like, bro, I heard you supposed to be like really, really good in college football. He said I be streaming on TikTok. He told me his record is 52-4. But we haven't played because he the day he wanted to play, I had something going on, and then I tried to play after that. He been having the flu, so we haven't played yet. But I'm looking forward to playing him. He said he have like over 1,000 people watching his stream on TikTok when he play. So that's somebody I'm looking forward to playing too, man. But like I say, anybody that's watching, man, as long as you ain't coming with all them little glitch plays that some people try to run, because I know a glitch when I see it. I'm gonna call y'all on it.
Yeah.
I'm a man of integrity. I'm gonna play the right way. I ain't running no glitches. I'm playing real football.
And then it's like, I don't see the point in it because it really ain't that entertaining. Like, bro, you trying to play the game. You're not trying to see the same shit over and over.
But some guys, that they like to do it so they can poke their chest out, post it on social media. Oh, I just beat G Sports, blah, 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 blah. Dog, I done played some people in there, and I call it out. I pause the game. Boom. Hey, that's a glitch.
Hey, dude, I'm calling you out.
It's a glitch. You know what I'm saying? So, just play with some integrity, man, and line up. Take your L, man. Just take your L, man. Take your L.
It's gonna be interesting. Steak dinner on the line.
Steak dinner, man. Yeah,
I'm ready.
Look, wherever you want to get it from. No, I know. I'll take that back. Not wherever you want to get it from, but you can't. Don't try to play me with a steak dinner from like
Root Chris or some shit.
No, Root Chris got good steaks. No, not. I'm talking about like I don't know, just long as you know a good steak when you see one.
You don't want no Dollar General lean.
Yeah, don't do me like that.
Meat on the grill, huh?
Don't do me like that. Don't do me. And the side man can either be green beans or some kind of greens.
You already picking your order like you want.
Or baked potatoes, something like that.
You already picking your order like you want, G.
You don't know what you're putting yourself into, man.
Noted. We'll see. If I eat my words, at least there'll be a steak to go alongside with it.
Oh, you know who else I beat too? You know who else I be beating? Amik Robinson.
Oh, you do it to him.
I be dealing with him. I ain't trying to put my dog on blast. I'm just keeping it real. He FaceTimed me yesterday talking about, man, I need my rematch, bro. I say, man, I'm about to go celebrate with the fam for New Year's, man. Just wait, just hold your horse. I'm gonna give you L again.
You on my time.
I'm living rent free.
It's a special skill. We're gonna see how it plays out. I appreciate your time, G. Everybody, hit a thumbs up on your way out. Appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good one and happy New Year.
You did.
Sorry, G.